Hello and welcome to Let the People Know. This is my Veterans Series, and I am pleased to have on State Representative Dane Watro. He has been a representative for the 116th District for the last a little bit over a year, so a year and 1 month.
That's right, yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show.
No, thank you and the television station for having me on.
Yeah, I was thinking of some interesting guests to have on to talk about being a veteran, and we've had women on, we've had older gentlemen on, and then I thought of you. I'm like, hey, Dane's a vet, we should have him on.
Thank you.
A younger, I'll put you in the younger category.
No, far from that. I wish I was young. Yeah.
We're still in the younger category,
okay.
I think. 15 below is the younger category.
Okay, just barely making it.
Me too. So for those people who don't know, you were in the Army, you served in the Army for
yes.
Over 9 years.
Yeah, 9 years, 3 months. That's my DD 214 says that.
Okay.
So yeah, right after high school, I decided that that's a career path I wanted to take. Mm-hmm. So college at that point wasn't for me. Eventually got there in some capacity, but just decided that I needed to go ahead and enlist and take my life from there.
Wow, so over 9 years. So a lot of your life was serving the country.
Yes, yeah.
And when you made the decision at the age of 18, did it seem like it was as important as it means to you now?
Absolutely. And I had that at such a younger age, watching my uncles come in from the military, from the Air Force, from the Marine Corps, and then hearing stories of my grandfather that was in World War II. Now, he didn't share the interesting stories until later on when I was in the military and all that, but just watching, watching them come in from the airport and then seeing my grandfather's medals hanging on the wall, I always had such a great interest. I remember on the railroad tracks sitting there with my buddy, my best friend at the age of probably 12, saying, one day I'm going to be in the military. Wow. And then when we hit 18 years of age, I went in and then he went in the Navy as well.
Okay, so you have a family background of military.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and you were saying not all in the Army, in different branches.
Right, yeah, Air Force, the Marines. So my grandfather was a World War II vet in the Asian part of the continent there during World War II. So he was United States Army, and that's the path I chose to take. Okay,
talk about the Army, the branch itself.
Yeah, most rewarding job I ever had, other than what I do right now.
Good.
And I say that I always had the military here in my career, and then when I left, I've always said I just had just a loss, like something I felt like it wasn't serving in a capacity. Then I got to become mayor, and then state representative, and now I said the military here and state representative here, because you get to serve people at such a great capacity. It's just rewarding.
How has it helped you in this capacity, in this position?
Yeah, the military leadership, determination, motivation. They're the three things that this job as state representative is broke up in different components, I say, but the military, you have a flag out in the distance, and your objective is to go get that and don't let nothing stop you. And the same way with this. Had a military veteran bill recently passed not long ago, and just the military alone just trained me to be the person I am. My parents gave me the foundation, but the military put me over that hump to have the drive, determination, and motivation.
Do you think we as Americans, we as the world, look at veterans the same way as far as respect as we did maybe a decade ago or 2 decades ago?
I think the general public they have a sense of appreciation for veterans. One thing I always say, though, when people say, hey, we support veterans, what do you do to support a veteran? Let's show them how you support them. If it's donating to the USO or just providing, helping out with the meals that come by Ollie's parking lot there. They service veterans once a month there. I just recently learned about that. We're finding some type of good organization to go ahead and support a veteran or active duty military personnel. It's always great to really get behind them and drive.
Do you feel there's enough support for our veterans when they retire and then, they're left with maybe some mental problems or financial problems, or so physically, mentally, emotionally, are there enough services out there for them?
That's a great question. I think we're getting there.
Okay.
And the federal government and even the Commonwealth there of Pennsylvania, they're definitely moving forward every year to make strides to make sure services are there for our veterans returning home. Everybody copes in a different way. The way I coped when I came home from Iraq was to get back right into work, get my mind occupied. Let's face it, when you come home from deployment, I was over there over a year, you tend to be home, want to take a couple weeks off. Your family members might be home with you the first couple days, but then everybody has a life. They go back to work, and then you're home then by yourself. So I encourage veterans when they come home, get back to work. Take a few days for yourself, relax, enjoy your family, but don't sit idle. Stay busy, keep going.
So when you enlisted, is it a 2-year sign-on, or how did it work then?
So I enlisted, it was actually a 3-year sign-on.
Okay.
So right after high school, went to boot camp. It was called an OSET course. It was 4 months of basic training and your vocational training. And then I was shipped to Korea right off the
At
18 years old, right off the DMZ. So I was like, wow. Definitely shocked from the food to the culture to a lot of that. There's no McDonald's over there. There's none of that stuff. So definitely have appreciation for Korean food, which I absolutely love now.
Okay.
So then after my year deployment at 18 years old in Korea, I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. And that's where I started a family. Then at that point, I have to say, I had a whole different perspective of my career.
Okay.
I always said I was going to be a career soldier, but then when I started a family, I thought, uh-oh, I need to give my daughter the same life that I had, mom and dad home, surrounded by aunts, uncles, and grandparents. Stability, yeah. I didn't want dad out in the field training or on deployment. I wanted to be home. So I brought my family back here to McAdoo.
Okay.
And started raising my family. And then from there, shortly after that, 9/11 happened. And like you and many of us Americans, our patriotic spirit began to whisper. And I said to my wife, I would like to, enlist back in the military and go do what I trained to do for 3 years. And she said, okay, you go ahead. So my family stayed, and I went back to training, trained up. And then at that point, they kicked off the war in Iraq. And then that's where I was deployed to Baghdad, Iraq.
Gosh, and what a family. I mean, talk about support. That's a good point to make, is how much support you need from your entire family as you're serving, that it's not just you, it's everyone. It's your family. And I give it your credit to your wife for being, go back and, you have it in your heart to go serve, but then in a selfish way, you really don't want to say, oh, go back to war.
I truly believe the most burden falls on your loved ones, your family. We're out there, you do the things we do, and we're trained, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
But it's the family, you're ripped apart from them. And even for myself, I'm just speaking in particular to me, my most struggle being in the military and being in the combat zone was family separation, because I was so used to having a tight-knit family, being around my family, and then that's removed. And that was my biggest struggle, not the day-to-day activities, what occurred, what happened. It was just that family separation.
Right. So you served for 3 years, then you took that break, had your family, moved back to McAdoo, Pennsylvania, and then when 9/11 hit, you went back.
Went back in.
And you were in for 3 more years.
Yeah, so then it was National Guard, it was called a Tri-1, and went in for that, and then got activated from there, and then I had a couple of years inactive ready reserve time.
Okay, and what does that mean?
Inactive ready reserves means you're still on the rolls of being called. You could be activated and called up based on. So it's called inactive ready reserves. I'm not even sure if they still do that.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what it was.
So
a total of 9 years, 3 months is what's on my form. Yeah.
It says that. So you came back there, and then do you decide at what time, or do they tell you at what time that part of your mission is ended?
Yeah. So back on it's called the Troy 1, it was for the duration of deployment of my unit.
Okay.
So when we got back, it was more or less I demobilize, check all the boxes, and you're good to go.
Got it.
Yep.
We're with Dane Watro, State Representative of the 116th District, but more importantly, a veteran, and we're focusing on Let the People Know, honor veterans, and highlighting the people who are veterans here on SSPTV. When we come back, we'll learn more with Dane Watro. And welcome back. You're watching Let the People Know, our special series on veterans. I'm your host, Jeannine Lesante, and with us today we have State Representative Dane Watro of the 116th District. Most importantly, though, he is a veteran of the Army, 9 years and 3 months.
Yes,
right?
That's right.
All
yes.
right. So it's very important to remember that. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking about his background in the Army and also your military family, because a lot of your family members
Right.
were in the military, but you decided at probably age 12 that you were going to serve the country.
Yeah, if not earlier, but I would say, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good age, to say. Yeah.
You were talking about some of the medals that your grandfather had earned and received, but you also have a list of medals that you received as well.
Yeah, every medal, when people look at them, they're like, oh, they're nice and shiny when the medal's hanging from your uniform, but each one is means so much to that soldier. And in the military, it's not so much about the pay raise you get every year, or back in the public sector, you get your annual maybe 3%, 2% pay raise. There, it's, I want to get that award. I want to work hard to get that award and that acknowledgement, because when you get to put that medal on your chest, there's so much pride that comes with that.
Mm-hmm. So what medals have you received?
Overseas medals from being in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and just a whole host of them. But like I said, every one, no matter if it was the Army Achievement Medal to an ARCOM, which is higher than Achievement Medal, each one means so much to me, because it's a lot of hard work and determination to get those awards. So. I looped them all in together, and I'm just very proud of it all.
I'm sure you have a family outside of your immediate family when it comes to the military and people that you've met.
I do.
Do you have any of those connections you can talk about?
Yeah, so we definitely stay in touch. And I remember walking down Baghdad. It was BIOP, it's Baghdad International Airport one day, and I hear this, "Hey, soldier." And I knew the voice. And it was from years ago, a guy I served with at Fort Hood, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, we're very good friends, and it's been years since we've seen each other. It was like, oh my God, how you doing? And it was like hugging and what's going on, what's new, and we just connected right then and there. It's a bond that you just can't replace.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel that way with all veterans when you see a vet?
I do.
It's a bond that you can sit down, have a conversation, and
I do.
be on the same page and understand some of what they're going through?
That's another great question. So I serve in the House of Representatives with some combat veterans, and you pretty much could pick up that they've been in the military, but it's simple things they do, and it's just an instant connection.
Okay.
And then you could exchange stories. We've been to multiple places that my colleagues been to, so it's a lot of stuff to relate to.
Yeah. So now that you're bringing up legislation, being on the House floor and being state representative of the 116th to represent those constituents, what are you doing, or what can you do to support veterans on the legislative level of things?
The House Bill 404, which SSPTV covered, I'm very thankful for that, was an integration from our military veterans getting out of the military, whether it be Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, no matter what branch you're in. The Commonwealth, unfortunately, was not recognizing their training that they had in the military as far as like Department of Health. Now, a combat medic goes in the military, they get the best training that you could possibly get. And unfortunately, there was just, I don't know, some type of misunderstanding, I guess, that they weren't accredited those academic coursework that they got in the military. So my bill actually streamlined that, that when they get out of the military, Department of Health will now recognize their training and certifications they had and say, you know what, you're certified to be a paramedic, you're certified to be an EMT, so on and so forth. So that's, you're helping, you're bridging a gap there. So you're helping military personnel, you're bringing them back to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but then you're also filling the gap for EMT and first responders. So it's actually a
And they're well trained.
Yeah, you're
So
helping.
it's a win-win-win. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So that must feel good, being on the floor and being able to
It is.
be on the other side and still helping out the veterans.
Absolutely, and the thing was working with all colleagues from across the aisle, on my side of the aisle, and we got that bill through unanimously. Now, moving forward, I'm always veterans, seniors. That's where my passion is at, and then education is within my top three.
Okay.
And now I see there was a bill down in Florida that passed, and it's working for them, and that's what returning military personnel, I want them to come back to the Commonwealth. I love Pennsylvania. I love the 116th district. I say this district here is the best district in the Commonwealth. And I sincerely say that because we have so much to offer. We have the 116th is half of Luzerne, half of Schuylkill. On this Hazleton area, Shenandoah, Monterey City, McAdoo, my hometown. But I want these military personnel getting out of the military to come back, and if they're certified or a good leader and have the credentials, to get in the classroom and start helping out in the education system and teaching our children. Now, I'm not saying taking every soldier out of the military and putting them in a classroom. I'm saying your leadership, your senior NCOs, and fast track them so they could get certified. But their heart needs to be there. If they want to do that, if they want to be in the classroom, it's just not a job. It takes a lot of work and determination to be a teacher. So my bill right now that I'm proposing is that to lower the standards. I shouldn't even say that. It's not lowering the standards. It's getting qualified military personnel from the military into the classroom and basically saying that, hey, Department of Education, let's get these certified soldiers, airmen, in the classroom and have them start teaching our children.
And that also means a lot to the children to learn about the importance and what it means to be a veteran.
Yep.
Not just something that they read in a history book.
Right.
It's real life.
Yeah. One thing I love doing, I spent a lot of time in the school, in the Hazleton Area School District, Shenandoah School District, just with students and talking with them, and they have so much interest in it. Hazleton Area Junior ROTC program was just there several days ago. Great program, doing great stuff. So I just think that this bill hopefully will get through the finish line. I'm sure it will. I'm confident. And that way we could go ahead and continue to help our veterans and the education system.
Let's talk about when I remember being in college and even in high school when they would come in and they would have the table out, who wants to enroll, and you didn't know a lot about it unless you had family in the military. And maybe, John Smith goes home and says to mom and dad, I think I want to enroll in the military. And sometimes parents are scared.
Yeah.
So what is your advice if mom, Joe or Jen go home to mom and dad and say, I'm thinking about being in the military?
Well, the best advice I could give is don't do what I did.
Oh, no.
I went and enlisted and came home, and my mom was at the kitchen table, and I said, hey, Mom, how are you? She's like, great, how are you? I said, great. Guess what I did? I just enlisted in the Army. I shipped January 24th. She said, you did what? Her face, I'll never forget it.
You almost
God
gave
love
her a
her.
heart attack,
I did, yeah. She's like, well, why did you do that? And she's like, I'm proud of you, but I don't understand. It's just something I felt I wanted to go do and do on my own, and nobody was going to change my mind.
Right.
So
it has to be in here. So if it's in here and you're doing it for the right reasons,
yes.
How do you say no to your son or daughter if it's in here?
Right. And
now, don't do it for any other reason. Don't do it for a paycheck. Don't do it for paying for college. Don't do it for... You need to do it because it's in your heart. Yeah. And that's what I would say to my children for anything they do. Don't do it for a paycheck, do it because that's your passion.
Yeah, I would always say talk to your parents, talk to your teachers,
right.
Talk to the recruiter.
Right,
and
maybe talk to veterans.
Yeah, and I would highly encourage, we all need personnel in combat, but try to always go in the field that you could use on the outside.
Okay.
Gain a little something.
Right.
That you could use out here in the public sector, and then you're going to also help yourself and help your local community, whatever community that is. Hopefully, it's back here in the Commonwealth, in the 116th district.
Bring them back.
Yeah.
Bring them back. All right. from there, let's talk about support for our veterans. I sometimes feel that healthcare could be improved for our veterans. What you're doing helps in the matter of getting them back into society and still let them feel like they are a productive member of society, but also looking at healthcare, looking at ways to service them on a mental standpoint. So that's an area I feel that we struggle, or maybe don't look at that as serious as what veterans need. I feel veterans should have the best health care out there.
I agree with you, and it's unfortunate. There's a piece out there that if you have to be a certain rate of disability in order to get the treatment at the VA.
Right.
And so you might struggle with mental health issues, with PTSD, but you don't meet that criteria of being, I'm not sure what it is. It might be 30%, it might be 70%, I'm not sure, but you got to meet a certain criteria. And I don't think that's right.
Right. I mean, no veteran should struggle once they come out from serving this country.
Right.
They should have the best services. In my opinion, they should be covered 100% with health care. It's something I'm sure isn't easy to do, but if you're going to put your life on the line for this country, the least we can do is provide the health care required for the rest of your life when you come out.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think that they go ahead and give their time, sacrifice for us, that we could make sure that we're meeting the needs of what they need.
Now, how do you feel if someone knows you're a veteran and someone comes into contact with you? What's the best way people can show their respect for a veteran? Just say thank you for your service?
Yeah, sometimes people just don't know. But one thing I always do, especially with our Vietnam veterans, they have so much pride in what they have done, and I am so proud of them and thankful. And they wear those hats with pride. And especially when I see those Vietnam vets, I will walk up to them, shake their hand, and say, welcome home.
Okay.
And I say welcome home to those veterans because they didn't have the welcome home I had. I had my family, citizens, the public, school band welcoming us back as a unit. And those poor men and women, they just didn't have it. And so every time I see, especially a Vietnam vet, I say, welcome home.
And what do they say?
You could see the smile, the sincere smile on their face, and they say, thank you so much.
Welcome home, that's a good one.
Welcome
and
home.
Remember that. You see a vet, you say, welcome home, I'm Vietnam vet.
Vietnam vet, yeah. That's what I do. But one last thing, if you don't mind, if we could talk about, we have a service officer from the American Legion coming to our office in Hazleton.
Okay.
And if it's a wife, a soldier, an airman, whatever, you had some interaction with the military, come in, call my office, see my guy, it's free. Wow. Let's see what benefits we could get to help the vet.
I love that.
Or the family. So please, I just encourage them to contact my office, get them linked up with an appointment. Appointment could last 30 minutes, 20 minutes.
Okay, so who does this service the needs of?
Veterans or their wife, spouse, and see if there's any type of benefits out there for them. Typically for the veteran, however, if veteran is deceased, it could possibly go to the spouse. It's free.
And it's through your
through my office, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a service we have. We're very big on. We're having the service officer come once a month.
Okay.
Now we're up to 2 days a month because there's such a high demand for it. So I highly encourage that. Thank you so much.
And then last but not least, we want to make sure that we tell you the best way to give back and donate to our veterans. Make sure that you're doing it the right way. There's all these organizations out there, but you said to go through USO.
Yeah, that is one of the best organizations you could donate to. There are so many other ones. The Valor Clinic, a local one, phenomenal.
They've been on with us.
Another one. So Valor and USO, they're the two that I do try to contribute to. However, there are so many good organizations out there. But to be safe, these are one local one, and then USO is actually amazing. And the USO actually had Toby Keith come to Baghdad when I was over there.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Toby Keith and Ted Nugent. I don't know if you're a Nugent fan. But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Memories, good
Yeah,
memories.
memories.
State Representative Dane Watro, 116th District, also a veteran. Thanks for sharing your stories with us.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
And welcome home.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you next time here on Let the People Know.